So it's that time of year where I suppose a lot of people are thinking about having a vacation, a break, the motivation to have a break. Obviously, a lot of people are back in at work. They've had a bit of a break over Christmas, maybe a break in routine and sort of getting back into it for a lot of people. We're back on the way. We're going to be speaking to Honey Langcaster-James, behavioral psychologist and life coach, about increasing motivation by, I suppose you could make a case in point, having something to work towards is always a good thing. So, Honey, welcome to the show. Great to have you on board. What's the latest research around that boosting motivation?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing. I think we always know that we love a holiday, don't we, us Brits? But what's been quite interesting is that a new piece of research that was commissioned by Walt Disney Travel Company International has looked at the kind of wider benefits of having a holiday booked in the future. The study was conducted to celebrate the launch of a new deal that they've got going in for 2025, where apparently you can get up to 4 free nights on a 2-week stay at Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. But what they did was they wanted to look at what would be the benefits of people booking a deal like that quite early on, and then having it to look forward to, the trip to look forward to. So they surveyed about 2,000 people, and they found that, generally speaking, 8 out of 10 people believe that if they've got a holiday booked, and it's kind of like stepping stones to aim for, is one of the most important things for their well-being, because 61% said they get a boost from having something to look forward to. And then when they looked at sort of the process of booking a holiday, 75%, that's like 3/4 of us, said that they get a thrill from actually pressing that book button. And I think there are different reasons for that. One is because the process leading up to that point often involves, chatting to your family about what you want to do, researching ideas, maybe looking for a good deal, maybe checking your calendars, coordinating availability, booking time off work. And then once you finally click that book button, it's like all of that is done. And now all you have to do is look forward to your nice holiday on the horizon. And at that point, I think you get a lot of the kind of wider benefits of keeping you motivated when perhaps you've got a bad week at work, or the weather's terrible. You've got something nicer to look forward to. So I think there's part of that. And it does seem that the anticipation of these positive experience is part of the benefit. So 39% said that they get a buzz out of anticipating. And that does fit with what we know psychologically as a phenomena called anticipatory consumption, which means that if we've got something that we are going to get, something new, or we're going to buy something, or we're going to go somewhere, we get a lot of the benefits out of it in the anticipation, and then some more when we actually get to have it. So that would fit with that.
Yeah, no, it's understandable, for somebody to have something to sort of look, there's plenty of things to look forward to, but to have that break in mind. And in terms of the anticipatory, having that sort of anticipation and going through the whole process of sort of booking it all, and then in the back of your mind, honey, you've got a trip planned
coming up. Yeah.
Do you think that has an effect as well, where you sort of know, okay, well, I've got this, it's all booked, it's all done and dusted, and I can just, get back to what I'm doing. And I know I've got this sort of break to look forward to in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I can relate to that personally as well, because it's definitely the case for us as a family. I mean, I took my kids, especially if you're going somewhere where you've been before, I think there's another benefit, because I took my kids to Disney World in Florida when they were young, when they were children. And then we went again when they were teenagers. And now that they're grown-ups, they're in their 20s now, we actually have a trip planned ourselves. So we're going back to Florida, back to Disney World, because there's that element of nostalgia. We've always had fun there. We're very fortunate that we get to go. So, you know, there's an element of that. And then I think there's also something special about Disney where children, even young children, have already got a relationship with it. They've already maybe got a favorite character from a film that they've seen. So they are also able to visualize it in their minds and look forward to going, because they know a bit about Mickey Mouse, or they know about the Princess Castle, for example. Whereas if you think about it, children typically haven't experienced many holidays in their life. So if a parent sort of says, oh, we're going on holiday to X, Y, or Z, that can be very difficult for a child to visualize or anticipate or get any of that anticipatory joy. Whereas if they know, oh, you know, brilliant, I'm going to get to see Mickey Mouse, or I'm going to get to go to this magical place, then at that point they are also able to kind of get that anticipatory joy, because they can hold those images in their mind. So I think there are sort of, you know, special additional benefits, if you like, of going somewhere that you can actually imagine and visualize, and maybe because you've been before. And then, of course, now we're at a time when, because Disney's been going so long, we've got people who are now parents who remember going as a child. So there's also that element of nostalgia and revisiting a place as a family and taking the next generation. You know, we've even spoken about that in my family, where my daughter, she's actually planning to get married now, and she wants to start a family. And she said to me, oh, isn't it going to be lovely, you know, when one day we can take the, you know, my children. So I thought, oh yeah, that's another thing about it, you know, that idea of passing things on. And I think as parents, we often aspire to being able to give our children the kind of peak experiences. And I think that's part of it as well. When we know something is magical and we've enjoyed it, we want them to have that. And you get that phenomena when, for example, at Christmas time, you know, a lot of people will say, oh, the magic and the joy came back when I had children, and you can pass that joy on. And I think that's also all in there as well. There's a lot of different psychological things going on, I think, that add up to the benefits.
That's planning a long time in advance. I mean, in terms of yourself, sort of like you mentioned there with your daughter, and as when she has, you know, children, you're planning a good few years in advance by the sounds of things as well. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, I think families do. They do. I mean, a lot of people, like in the study, actually, they found 53% said that they revisit places that they went to on holiday as a child. So it is quite common. That's half of us do it.
No, that's a good point, to be fair. I think it's, you know, like whether it's sort of Disney or anywhere else and that sort of stuff, I think that's a really good point. And I can relate to that to a certain degree, for sure. Like, you know, I've always got in the back of my mind, I'd like to take my children to you know, where I sort of grew up, and you know, explore my heritage as well. It's one of the things, and I think that nostalgia really, which you've mentioned there. And you mentioned nostalgia there, and I think that, I mean, I've been to Disney myself, and personally, I think it's a great experience. It's a really really, really interesting experience. I think it's, you know, really entertaining, and there's a lot to it, isn't it? It's obviously
very wholesome and just, magical.
I think so. I think so, especially sort of like, you know, obviously the world we live in these days, it's not always good news all the time. Sometimes it's just good to sort of like, you know, have your own oasis and just relax and sort of enjoy. And you mentioned this nostalgia there, and it's really interesting, really. You know, is that a big part for people? Like, I think that sort of plays a part for me, that nostalgia. Do you think that's sort of something that perhaps we may not sort of consciously think about, but, you know, even unconsciously, like nostalgia is a big part of where we decide to go?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, when you look at the survey results, one of the biggest findings that they had was that 94% of Brits thought that the memories they create on holidays are important in their overall life. You know, we can't underestimate this. Nostalgia and revisiting places, and, you know, creating memories with your family and your loved ones and your friends is like a peak life experience. And I tend to think of it as being, you know, if you buy something, I mean, there are other psychological studies, for example, that have shown that you get many more, you get more joy, more happiness, and more well-being benefits from buying experiences than you do from things. We've known that for a while. But when you think about creating memories on holidays, if you ask people, what are your happiest childhood memories? A lot of the time it is based around a holiday that was taken or a place that you went to with your family and things. There's something really special about that time out from everyday life when everyone's in a good mood, yeah, generally speaking, and you're making memories. And when you come back from those trips, the memories that you've made, no one can ever take that away from you. It's not like, you know, you've bought something and over time it deteriorates and it gets old, or, you know, it breaks. Something like creating memories on a holiday is something you know, for as long as you've got your memory, you've got that experience and you can pop back to it in your mind. And of course, nowadays, you've also got the joy of the photographs. I mean, we've got photographs in our home, you know, of the kids with their Mickey Mouse ears on and things like that, you know, and then when they're older. And I think things like that remind you of the enjoyment in life and the joy in life of being together as a family and having fun and taking time out from the everyday life experience. And so I think that can't be underestimated, that element of nostalgia, making memories together, doing things perhaps with your children that you enjoyed as a child. All of those things, I think, have a real benefit to our psychological well-being, perhaps beyond what we might initially think of.
Absolutely. And I suppose, like, where Disney's concerned, if you're going to like choose to go to a Disney, I mean, I suppose that personal preference, but I would say for me, Florida would be the one, on the basis that, you know, outside Disney as well, you know, you can have relax on the beach, you can bit of golf. There's a lot really in the state that you can do, but you know, some people might choose
We
otherwise.
can't argue with the Florida sunshine either, the weather.
Well, yeah,
I mean, as a Brit, I'm like, take me to the sun.
no,
You know.
absolutely. I mean, obviously, you know, you've got, like, you know, Paris, for example. You might want a city break as well. Incorporate that at a certain time of year. You've got obviously California too, but yeah, it's one of them really. I think that's you know, and I think that as well, the anticipation, honey, around that, like in terms of what else you do. You know, outside sort of Disney, you go there. Do you decide to do anything else? You sort of, you know, get a hotel by the beach and just chill out. You know, do you have a look around? There's a lot to do, obviously, in Florida. It's quite laid back too. So, do you think, like, when people are planning these sort of things too, they take that on board too? It might be like, you know, that sort of the children obviously the most motivated to go to Disney, but you know, obviously the parents, grandparents even might enjoy the nostalgia, but also, okay, what else can we do while we're there as well?
Yeah, I think there's an element of that. I think definitely as Brits, you know, the weather is something. I mean, there's a reason why Brits are known to talk about the weather, because, you know, it's annoying that often we can plan a good time in this country, but then the weather lets us down. Whereas I think when you go somewhere like Florida, you know what you're going to get. You know, you're all going to be in your t-shirts and you know it's going to be lovely and warm and sunny. And that helps you to envisage, it's part of that bubble, that holiday bubble, isn't it? Of going, we know what it's going to be like. So I think there's part of that. I think in general, the location is part of it. But then I think when you think about a holiday like going to Disney World, it's very different from other types of holidays, because you've got that element of novelty, but all within the resort. So you've got the different parks. You know, if you get yourself a park pass, you can sort of, you know, one day you might be in the Magic Kingdom, you know, you might be in different bits.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's part of it as well, that going somewhere like that, you know, that you know it's all positive, it's all sunshine, it's all fun, but you've also got different things you can go and enjoy. And you mentioned there about, you know, being for kids. I mean, I think people are actually often surprised when they go to Disney World that how much of it is for adults and how much of it is geared to that, you know. So I do think it's a magical place, and, you know, personally I just love it, which is why we've been back, you know. I do think it's one of those places places that once you go, you get it, you know.
No, absolutely, 100%. And I mean, yeah, I would certainly bring the raincoat in Florida as well. They get the heavy downpour, honey. It's warm rain, but yeah, absolutely. So sometimes you might have to pull over if the rain gets really heavy for an hour or two, and make sure you bring the sunscreen as well out there, because it gets really hot as well. But no, but you're right. I think it sort of depends what you want. If you want, a city break, then you probably want to choose something like that. It all depends, isn't it, really? But like you said, I think there is a magic to Disney, that's for sure. I think we can all relate to that to a certain degree. And it's a good excuse for you to keep going back. And
Exactly.
you can use the kids and and the future grandkids, an excuse for you to enjoy yourself and have a good time. But definitely, but so on that note, so it's been great to join us. I've been looking at the internet myself to see what breaks I can plan for this year, if I'm honest as well.
Yeah, you can get some good deals on disneyholidays.co.uk, that's for sure. Certainly at the moment you can.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Why not? Thanks for your time, honey.
Thank you so
have
much.
a great day. Take care. Bye.
Bye.